Hi guys. It's been a few days since my last video, and I've been pretty excited to get this one started. It's called Bleed Blue. Yeah, what it is, it's a document I wrote a couple years ago about how I think Haisla culture, or First Nations culture in particular, is intertwined with the sport of basketball. Just on a side note, I was kind of hoping to give you guys a little tour of my basement, and this is where I spend a lot of my time. Just behind me here is a hat that I got from my mother a couple years ago, sitting on top of a basketball and First Nations designed bowl, which is which was actually a trophy that we got from the year that I coached basketball in the Nanaimo. And just above that is the roster photo. I won't get too far into detail about it, but you also got some Star Wars stuff, Green Day stuff, Haisla stuff, and SNRK, along with Eminem's Recovery album. Because, the Recovery album, the older I get, the more I understand it. It's pretty symbolic to me these days, because I'm also on the sober path as well, and it kind of gives me inspiration to, keep on the right path. Also over here, all 8 Pokemon badges from the original Kanto League, along with the Ash Ketchum hat. Because, I'm pretty nerdy like that. Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get it started. I'm just going to read it first, and then I'll, debrief after I'm done. For as long as I can remember, I've had a lot of things taught to me in this community, the people of the snow. The importance of respect for one another, especially our elders, cultural identity, and basketball were a few of the subjects that really stuck with me. Today I would like to explain why I'm a firm believer in how basketball is an important part of Haisla culture, despite how many disagree in my community. When I was younger, I loved going to Prince Rupert every year with my grandparents to watch my uncles and cousins go to battle with neighboring nations. Watching men play like the whole nation's pride was in the palm of their hands. Watching them come together throughout the whole year to achieve a common goal. Not knowing back then that I too would one day proudly don the title of a Haisla Brave. Along with this title comes huge expectations. I learned about midway through my teen years that it would take a lot of hard work and dedication to live up to the glory days of the Haisla Braves that represented the blue and white long before I was even alive. Growing up and watching the older ones doing what it took to earn their privilege to be considered a Haisla Brave. To me, it feels like a lot from back before when the settlers came along into our communities, where the older men would show the younger men how to be and how to act appropriately in order to achieve that status as a Haisla Brave. It is going to be very difficult to get some to believe that in this theory that basketball and Haisla culture are indeed intertwined. But for me, as well as a few other dozen Haislas, basketball is an outlet for anger and depression. It's an art form. For those of us who chose to play, we didn't have much say on how high we would set the bar every year. Our whole community likes to remind us every year how many championships the Haisla have won in the past. We live and play by the expression bleed blue. This is the same saying that came around before I was even born in 1986. So to tell me that basketball is not a part of Haisla culture is more difficult for me to understand, as opposed to someone trying to understand how it is a part of our culture. For some of us, basketball is what helps us live the healthy lifestyle. It helps with self-confidence, learning to work as a team, as well as staying a healthy, active community member. Also, on a side note, if you expect to play on any basketball team for the Haisla, you should also expect to be giving back to the community. Cutting and packing wood, shovel driveways, being there at the drop of a hat to help set up and take down equipment at the local community hall. This is one thing I always felt a sense of belonging from. Giving back to the Haislas who don't play, but are always there to cheer us on when it really matters. But as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to keep our culture alive. One of the main things growing up was that I was not allowed to go out and play with my friends whenever there was a death in the community. The village would essentially shut down till the respective family has had a chance to grieve and say their last goodbyes. I used to think this was a good idea till I became an adult and see what it really does for the community. And just to be clear, before everyone comes at me with torches and pitchforks, I have nothing but respect for our nation and everyone in it. I just feel like this is an old Haisla rule that needs to be put where it belongs, in the past. There are a lot of traditions and rituals that not just we, the Haislas, but literally every culture in the world has had to let go of. We are the modern day Aboriginals. We're the 7th generation. We don't go to war with other nations anymore. Our battlefield's on the court. At age 31, it has become more and more hypocritical as to how we use this rule nowadays. Whenever there's a death, we get this rule thrown in our face and told we can't practice what we love, basketball. When there's a death, the floor is the first to be shut down, and, well, that's pretty much where it ends. Kids still play out, people still have their parties and go to the bar in town, the weight room is still open, the elementary kids still use the floor for school, HNC still holds their annual Christmas dinner, and so on and so on. But why us? Why just basketball get shut down? We're a big part of this proud community too. Without floor time, I am more likely to get discouraged to keep on with this healthy lifestyle I try so hard to maintain. Without floor time, I'd rather stay at home with a case of beer and play video games instead of giving my body the exercise it deserves. Us basketball players are some of the most open-minded, respectful people I know. The ones that hold us back are the ones that say we're disrespecting the family by showing up to the gym. The ones that say we're being disrespectful are the same ones that wonder why we go out 2 straight in the all-native basketball tournament every year. Our population is growing, and with that comes more fatalities. I know how it feels to lose someone so close to you. It hasn't been a full year since I lost my father figure. The last father figure of my life, my grandfather. But when he departed, one of the few things I wanted to do was go out in the basketball court with my friends and just be reminded what it's like to be one of the Manets again. I can see why many think staying inside during the event of a death can be considered respectful, but at this day and age, coming from someone that's suffering with depression, staying inside is the last thing I should be doing. Basketball isn't just something I do to pass time or look cool. Basketball, for me, is an outlet for depression. It's a way of life. It's my culture. So yeah, that was the document I wrote about 2 years ago. I was 31 when I wrote it. And I broke down there a little bit just because, I didn't only just lose my grandfather, I lost my grandmother as well. Yeah, a few things have changed in the past couple of years. I no longer drink beer too, so, I could kind of disregard that spot. But, if I'm not really doing anything, I'm still playing video games. And that was the Bleed Blue document. I showed it to quite a few people when I wrote it, not to everyone, but I really got some positive feedback on it, and I figured, why not read this one out loud for my next YouTube video. So that's it for this one, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you guys on the next one.